Hey, everybody, it's Tony George along with my buddy Griffin Murphy. I call him Griff, and
Yes,
I'll tell
sir.
you what, we appreciate you tuning in to the Doc's Gridiron six pack today. We are knocking it out of the park, Griff. 16, 8, and 2. That is 68% on the year. Six
Yes,
game
sir.
sample size per week, man. That's better than my service right now, buddy.
I love it, man. Yeah, we're rolling right now. Steam is hot.
Yeah, well, we're going to bring some more steam to you today, folks. Hey, listen, be sure and smash that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. You'll get notified whenever myself, Griffin, anybody on the website puts out a free pick here on Doc's YouTube channel. You'll get notified. I mean, you're here for the freebies, right? Well, here you go. Get notified when there's more up there. And we got the free $60 for you. In the link in the description below, you can see it at the top of the screen here. We'll park $60 in any new account over at Docs, and you guys can just utilize that wherever you want to. You don't like me, you don't like Griff, we don't care. You got 10 other choices over there. Yeah,
No hard
consensus
feelings.
service at Text Your Picks. I mean, hey, it's like Baskin Robbins. We got more than one flavor. So be sure and get over to Docs and check out all the free information we got for you. And we got a big weekend this weekend in the NFL and college football for you. And some big games in college football this week. You got Notre Dame taking on USC. We're not going to talk about that, but that might be one of my premium plays actually this week. But a couple of big games. We're going to talk about one here in a minute, Griff. But we got one brewing down in the ACC, and Miami is on the road at North Carolina. The Tar Heels laying 3.5. Total in this thing's 56.5. The way North Carolina's playing, they might get that by themselves. I mean, you never know if May gets going at quarterback there. And, of course, Miami off a total debacle last week against Georgia Tech, managing the clock. I've never been a fan of this coach. I wasn't a fan of this coaching move from him coming down from Oregon, but nonetheless, one thing I did notice about this has been an underdog series as of late. I'm going to wonder if that continues, and really not as of late. The last 19 meetings, the dog has covered 14 times and won 9 outright. Do the Canes blow into Raleigh-Durham this week and get it done against North Carolina, Mac Brown and the boys? Big game here.
Yeah, Tony, this one is after watching North Carolina. So North Carolina's rolling into this matchup right now 4-0. And, we're backed up. We've got head coach Mac Brown. This guy's been coaching at the collegiate level for over 45 years now. This is his second run through with North Carolina. He was with them in 1988 through 1997, then picked back up in the 2019 season. This North Carolina offense is absolutely dynamic. And Drake May in particular, this guy is absolutely bombarding. He's already passed for over 1,600 yards. He has weapons across all of the field. And this North Carolina team, they've been put to the test already. They've already beat down Pittsburgh. They've already beat down Minnesota. And then if you guys watched last week what they did to Syracuse in a 40-7 victory, Syracuse was the top dog in the ACC. I mean, that was the game to watch. And after that game, what I seen out of Drake May, absolutely elusive. I mean, this guy's completion rating was absolutely dynamic. And I want to talk about the running back in the backfield with Hampton. I mean, this guy reminds me of almost a Montgomery type of style running back. He is fast. He's explosive. He's hard to tackle. Their offense is incredible. And then you roll over to Miami right now. And yes, I mean, let's talk about Mario Cristobal. Is he in hot water right now, Tony? I mean, all they had to do was kneel the ball down against Georgia Tech last week, and they come out with a victory. Instead, with 20 seconds left on the clock, they decide, let's run the ball, fumble it. 2 plays later, Georgia Tech scores in 2 plays, a touchdown, ends up beating Miami to take down their 4-0 undefeated record. Right now, with the momentum and the demoralization of what this Miami team has got to be going through, now they're coming into North Carolina. They're dealing with May and this offense with Mac Brown backed up, I just don't see how they're going to cover in this game, Tony. Coming into North Carolina, give me the -3.5 points. I got North Carolina winning this game by a touchdown. But rolling into our next game, Tony, we've got a big one here, Pac-12. This is probably the Pac-12 matchup of the year, the week for sure. We've got Oregon rolling in at 5-0 against Washington. The current line is Washington is laying 3 points. We have a total at 67 right now. Both teams, we've got Bo Nix at the helm with this Oregon team, and we've got Michael Penix with Washington. How is this Oregon State or Oregon team secondary going to defend Michael Penix in the air? And how is this Washington defense going to deal with Bo Nix and Bucky Irving in the backfield? Tony, what is your take?
Well, I'll tell you what, my take is it's a damn shame that the Pac-12 is just going to disappear overnight after the
I
season.
know.
That's the damn shame. You got Oregon State taking on UCLA. There's another monster co-headliner this weekend. You know, you've got ranked teams all over the place in this conference. Many will argue that either Oregon or Washington is the best team in the Pac-12. We saw USC slip and fall last week. Damn near should have got beat. They may have been looking ahead a little bit to that Notre Dame game this weekend, as we mentioned earlier. But at the end of the day, you've got two of the best offenses in the country. These two are combining right now for 1,127 yards a game. You've got two elite quarterbacks. Bo Nix has kind of got when he was at Auburn, he kind of had the moniker he couldn't win the big one. He folded under pressure, and he did. I mean, that's, and he took a lot of heat for that down there in Dixie, down there in the SEC country, and he got the hell out of Dodge, and he found a home here in Oregon. Last year, if you recall, Oregon was ranked 6th in the country, and Washington came in there unranked and beat them up there at their home stadium in Eugene, 37-34 ball game. You could probably expect the same type of score, but when I see a game like this, and I have all the respect in the world for Washington, I really do. I think Penix is a great quarterback. They're getting a couple of their receivers back this week that were out last week, but at day's end here, when I see games like this, when offenses are equal, quarterbacks are equal, who's got the better defense? And at the end of the day, Oregon's got the better defense, in my opinion. And that's what's going to happen in this ballgame. I'm going to take Oregon plus the 3 in this big game here. The total, about right. I can see both these teams in the 30s. I don't think anybody sees a snail's pace, we're going to dominate on the ground type ballgame. These guys rely on their quarterback's arms, and so that extends the clock as well. So you may see this creep over the total here, but at the end of the day, I'm going to take the better team with the defense getting points, and they definitely have enough offense to keep pace with Penix and company. If you're a fan of college football, folks, and you don't watch this football game, you're doing yourself a disservice. 3:30 Eastern time. I think it's on ABC. It is on ABC, so be sure and tune in. And a little bit of a quack attack. Let's take the Ducks plus the 3, and let's spiel over into the Big Ten this week.
Yes, sir.
And I threw this game at you, Griff. For those of you behind the scenes, Griff gives me a couple games he likes, and I kind of fill in the blanks with the rest of them. But this game here really intrigues me. Mel Tucker got fired at Michigan State for some inappropriate behavior, apparently. Nobody really knows the true story there. But since it just looks like this Michigan State team's kind of thrown in the towel. Now, on the other side of the coin, Rutgers at home laying 5.5. Totals around 40.5 here in this game. But Rutgers has showed well this year, in my opinion. But the question here is, this has been a series, Griff, that has been dominated by Michigan State. 8-1 straight up the last 9 meetings, and Rutgers is 0-6 against the spread the last 6 meetings they've had. And last year, Michigan State, 31-13 winner. But Michigan State had a hell of a football team last year and a hell of a defense. Now, off a bye week, you got to ask yourself a question. Can they right the ship and maybe get a different mindset going to this game? Because Shiano at home, he's going to have the Scarlet Red. They're going to be fired. The Scarlet, they're going to be fired up, baby. So this is an interesting line here. How does Michigan State travel this week?
Yeah, Tony, rolling into this game, just like you mentioned, this is not the same Michigan State team that we are used to watching for over a decade. I mean, they are really falling into the tumble right now, and it's a disaster when it comes to that coaching staff. I mean, it's a disaster across the board. They're having issues at the quarterback spot with Noah Kim. I mean, he's just not having a good year by any means. He's coming off a 3 pickoff game last week against Iowa. Right now, their toughest game this far this season was against Washington, which is understandable. That's one of the best teams in the Pac-12, and they got completely lit up. But they have no offense. We don't know if Noah Kim's going to get the start. We don't know if they're going to send in their backup for this game. Their offensive line has been brutal. They've had no run game. And yes, they have had a bye week to accumulate themselves. But rolling into this game, they really have had no answers all season, and they really haven't had a tough schedule at all, to say the least. And then you go over to this Rutgers team. Tony, let me ask you, when was the last time you seen Rutgers in a Big Ten matchup minus 5.5 points? You don't see it very often.
I was knee high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, right. It's been a very, very long time. And the Rutgers, they're rolling into this matchup with a 4-2 record. And right now, their only 2 losses are against Big Ten schools, which Michigan, one of the top teams in the country, and then Wisconsin. Wisconsin's always a very tough team to play. Key note for you guys right now, this Rutgers team this season against the spread, 5-0-1. And if you got on that play early enough with Michigan, they're undefeated against the spread this season. Right now as well, both of their losses are on the road. So this game is with Rutgers. They're 4-0 at home this season, absolutely dominating. And they've kind of already established themselves. They opened up the season and they beat up on Northwestern. And then after Northwestern, they also blew up on Virginia Tech. So I'm not sold out on this Rutgers team by any means. I think they're a legit team. And it's very weird for me to say, hey, I'm going to lay 5.5 points with this Rutgers team. But Tony, I'm laying 5.5 with the Rutgers. That's my play. Rolling into the next game right now, we are switching gears into the NFL. And we've got the Indianapolis Colts at Jacksonville. The current line is Jacksonville is laying 4 points. The total is 46.5. Jacksonville is currently on a 2-game winning streak, getting back from London after just beating up on the Bills. The Bills did try to get that come from behind victory, did fail to do so. Jacksonville looked dominant. And I'll tell you what, Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, they look very good together. And ETN, I mean, that offensive line really pushed open the floodgates to get him moving. Tony, I'm really excited for this matchup. I think Indy's also very, very good. Even with Richardson out, Minshew taking over and then bringing home a win. I had the Colts last week, and when I saw Richardson go down, I was kind of like, but I also knew in the back of my head, Minshew, this guy can play, and he showed out, and he prevailed. Tony, what is your take on this game? It's going to be a very interesting one.
Well, the one thing, and this was I believe, week 1 matchup, they played a 31-21 win by Jacksonville. I had a 6-unit play on them to open up the season. That game was in doubt. I mean, doubt till the last 3 minutes. I thought I was a dead duck. I was down at Circa that weekend, opening weekend of the NFL, doing the contest weekend event they had down there for the Survivor and the Millions, and they had a radio row down there, but nonetheless, I'll never forget that game. Jacksonville actually did not look good in that game. Lawrence actually hadn't looked good till the last couple of weeks. They really kind of got their offense clicking, and I don't know whether it's the bangers and mash or the Yorkshire pudding or the fish and chips over there in London, but back-to-back weeks they got the job done. They kind of made Buffalo look like a butt clown. I mean, they really did. And by the way, you saw they were carrying half of the defense of the Bills out on stretchers. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
these guys, they were very physical in that football game on all sides. And Ridley and Lawrence is a great combination.
Oh,
The one
boom.
thing I noticed about Minshew over the years, and he's had a lot of spot duty. And don't get me wrong, he's an experienced starter in the NFL. He's played a lot of games, and but you notice when he gets put in, it's Minshew magic. When he's got a week to go play a game, it's not so Minshew magic. And the other thing about here, Jacksonville's real good at stuffing the run, and they want to run Moss and Taylor. Now,
Hmm.
they had some big plays last week against Tennessee in that ball game, taking it, I believe Moss took it to the house once, about 60 some yards. They're not going to have that kind of success against this defense of Jacksonville. At the end of the day, first one went over. I like the under 46.5 in this game better than I like a side play. Now, since it's been released here that Richardson went on IR, this thing was at 4. I saw a couple of 3.5s as the line was moving around. And once it was official, Richardson was out. It's up to 4.5, which is a tough number in a divisional game here, especially the second go around where the other team's avenging a home loss. But Jacksonville has owned Indy forever, and maybe I do a small lean on Jacksonville here. But at the end of the day, I like the under 46 because Indy's going to want to try and run that ball and keep that Lawrence and Ridley combination off the field as much as possible. Because one thing you'll notice that Indianapolis doesn't want to do, they don't want to get into a boat race up and down the field and try and trade punches with people offensively. They're not built for that. Jacksonville kind of built for that. They can hit you with big plays. So I think they'll slow the pace down here. And I think we'll see Etienne run the ball a lot too. He's having a lot of success. The play action pass works real well, and that's kind of, a lot of, possession receiver type passes when that's working, moving the chains down the field. I'm going to take my best bet in this game on the under 46.5. Moving on, I want to talk about this Arizona and Los Angeles Rams game. Now, last week, I had the Rams as a Circa Millions pick. I had them as a free video play, and they let me down. They played a Philadelphia team that I thought, Griff, probably played their best game of the year against LA. They had really been gifted basically 4 games in a row. I mean, first game of the season, the Patriots should have beat them. A couple weeks later, they're in an overtime game against the Redskins, who the Bears just beat 40-20. I mean,
Right.
they've had some problems with, I think more. Is Swift a good running back? Yeah. Is Hurts a great quarterback? Yeah. They got a good defense? Yeah. Brown a good receiver? Yeah. They check all the boxes, but at the end of the day, they just haven't been able to put it all together. And they put it together last week against the Rams. And then, of course, you got the Cardinals rolling in here. That's right down in your backyard.
Hmm.
Things were kind of back to normal with Arizona last week. This is a divisional game. Total is a 48.5, and the Rams are laying damn near a touchdown, -6.5. I will tell you this much. I don't know what your pick is in this game, but the LA Rams are going to be on a lot of teaser boards this week. I
Sure.
can tell you that, teasing them down to a half a point. They're even on my radar, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Tony, it's going to be a really interesting game, and the biggest miss factor that rolls into this matchup is going to be James Conner is going to be on the IR this week with an injury, with a knee injury,
Yeah.
and that is kind of the heart and soul of this Arizona offense. And I would have never said that a year ago. James Conner has really picked up his gear in this 2023 season. I mean, he almost looks like a mini Derrick Henry. He is fast. He is strong. Derrick Henry is not the same Derrick Henry we're used to watching. James Conner is very hard to tackle. He really blows up that defensive line, and he opens up the pass game for his youngster quarterback with Joshua Dobbs. I love Dobbs at the helm. But considering the fact that Conner is not going to be in this game, we might see some trouble on that offensive front. I could see Los Angeles bringing heavy pass rush and run rush over and over again, early and often in this game. And when it comes to this, Arizona is going to have to rely on Hollywood Brown to be their main guy as a receiver. And yes, he is a phenomenal receiver, nothing to take from him. But I'm just not sold with Arizona's head coach, Jonathan Gannon. I don't love the intensity he brings to the game. I don't like the way that he handles this team's energy. He's got a young crowd here, and he's got to figure out how to fire some of these guys up. I don't like the way this team looks. And then I go back to this Rams team. We've got Sean McVay. I mean, he signed as just for you guys that don't know, he was the youngest head coach to ever sign a contract. At 30 years old, he took over as a head coach, which is incredible. It's a remarkable thing to have. And on top of that, he's led his boys to a Super Bowl championship in 2022. This guy is a phenomenal coach in this offense. Matthew Stafford. Now you have Cooper Kupp back. You have Atwell. You have Puka. I mean, this team offensively is dynamic. They are the 5th best offensive passing team in all of football. Arizona, their secondary is struggling very much so. They're one of the least rated defensive secondaries in all of football to this point. And now, when it comes to the run game, you've also got Williams in the backfield for this Rams team that can open it up, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. The Rams are currently 0-2 at home this season. This game is in Los Angeles, but they've played San Francisco and they played Philadelphia, both at home.
Right.
2 of the only undefeated teams in all of football. Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp is finally locked in, back in action. They have powerful weapons across all fields of game. I love rolling with this game, and I'm going with I have the current line with this game with the Rams at -6.5. I still love it at -7. It's been shifting back and forth. My play going into this game is going with the Rams. I think this is a completely different team than we expected. I think they have a much better D-line that we anticipated before the season started. Their secondary is very mid-pack, which should be totally fine considering Dobbs is not a very efficient quarterback yet. He's good, and I have high hopes for him, just not quite yet. Stafford, we already know what to expect from Stafford. We already know with Cooper Kupp, he's absolutely explosive. And then Puka absolutely lighting it up this season. I love the Rams in this game, Tony. I'm going with the Rams -6.5. If you can get them at -7, roll with that as well. That is my play. Rolling into our last game, Tony, final but definitely not least, we've got the New Orleans Saints rolling into Houston. Houston is currently +1.5 at home, total 42.5. Right now, this Saints team, well, they picked it up last week, Tony. Offense has been a struggle all season. 34-zip win last week. I'll take that. That looked very good. And then Houston, we had them in our show last week. Caught them by a hook. We got that 2 points, or that 2.5 points. So I loved that. CJ Stroud, no, he wasn't as dynamic as I wanted him to be, as I expected him to be. But I still think they controlled the offense very well. It was sustained. It was well hold. Tony, what's your take rolling into this matchup with New Orleans after a 34-0 win?
Well, I tell you what, I like New Orleans in this game, but there's an asterisk.
Sure.
This is their 4th road game in 5 weeks. And that concerns me. The NFL is a lot like, not a lot like, but a little bit like the NBA. When I find my best bets in the NBA, it's always scheduling spots. Long road trip, final game, big favorite against a nobody, that sort of thing. You like to go against them a little bit here. And I would love to go against New Orleans here, but a couple of things here. If you look at talent across the board, New Orleans, Thomas, wide receiver. You got Hill coming off the bench making big plays. Taysom Hill. Carr is a better quarterback than people think he is. Mm-hmm. Alvin Kamara, one of the top fantasy guys out there. They just put up 34 against a very good Patriots defense because that's the only thing the Patriots got's defense.
Right.
They don't have an offense. The only reason they beat the Jets is because they had a defense. And the Jets had a crappy quarterback. But at the end of the day, that is an impressive win going up against a Bill Belichick coach team and blanking them and hanging 34 on the board. And if you take a look at Houston, we got lucky with that cover last week. The only reason they covered that is because Atlanta had 2 bonehead turnovers in the second half. And you know what? To Houston's credit, they exploited them. But they did not play that well in that game. And I've been telling you all year long, Atlanta sucks. And I'm telling you, I wasn't impressed with that at all. I got this at New Orleans laying 1.5, total 42.5. I mean, if you take a look at Houston's numbers in that Atlanta game, they were outgained badly. I mean, badly. You look at that score and you go, well, how the hell was it only 21-19? Looks like it should have been 31-10. But at the end of the day here, this is the best defense that CJ Stroud has seen year to date. The New Orleans defense is no joke. People better wake up to that. This is a top 7 or 8 defense in the NFL. Give me the Saints. Give me who dat on the road. I'll take them. I'll lay, and instead of laying the 1.5, here's a lesson. Why the hell would you lay a 1.5 when you can play the money line at -125 and take the points out of it, folks? A lot of times, college, pro, football, NBA, college basketball, same thing. You got a 2.5 point favorite or a 2-point favorite or less, and you can get -135 or less on the money line. This could be a 20-19 ball game. How'd you like to lay the 1.5 and be kicking yourself in your own balls because you didn't play the money line? Play the money line on these lines that are 2 points or less. It's worth the added juice. Others may argue, let them. I've been doing this 35 years. I've saved myself hundreds of units by playing the money line and having a game land 21-20, 24-23. And there I was laying 1.5. So the money line, -125, and the New Orleans Saints. Again, folks, be sure and get over. And by the way, we had over 3,500 of you tune in last week. We appreciate the views. Spread the word. Not too many shows out there giving you 68% against the spread. And of course, past results are not indicative of future results. But we got ourselves something going on here. So we appreciate you tuning in. And we appreciate you following us over to the website. I'm having a tremendous run in the NFL. My NFL props are off the map. We hit a big 7-unit. I had Watson for Green Bay on Monday night, over 43 yards receiving for his 7-unit prop. Of course, 177-yard play helped me a lot. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, we got prop cards up there. We got NFL cards. My college football last week, I tell it like it is, 2-3. And usually college football is one of my strongest suits. I believe on Thursdays and Fridays, I'm unbeaten yet this year. I'll have a Friday play. I'll have a flat bet card, I think, on Saturday, 4 units each, a 4-pack. And we're going to fire back up with a 6-unit play in the NFL this week. We are on a 7-2-1 run the last 2 weeks, 70% against spread in the NFL. And the push and one of those losses was me losing half of a teaser. So it wasn't even a side or a totals play. And the only loss was on the Packers on Monday night. What was that Griff, by the way, just quickly, just a quick bitch session. You had 2 weeks you had almost 2 weeks after getting your butt handed to you on Thursday Night Football by a conference rival. You got embarrassed, and you had 11 days to get ready for a bad Raiders team, and that was your performance. And by the way, Jordan Love isn't all that. I tell you what,
No.
the Packers are in big trouble in that division, Griff.
I agree, Tony. And you know what? Jimmy Garoppolo did not look good in that matchup by any means either. It was just a
No.
bad played football game across the board. It was brutal.
Yeah, and you can't flex out on Monday nights. You should have in that one. But nonetheless, hey, if the Raiders get it done, and so be it. Folks, website, get over there. 95% of the stuff on that website is absolutely free. You got free pick write-ups on almost every game in every sport. You got the WNBA playoffs going on. You got the Major League Baseball playoffs going on. And as we tape this on Wednesday, I'll tell you how crazy Major League Baseball, I thought it was insane all year. The top 5 teams in Major League Baseball as of Wednesday, the 11th, are 1-10 straight up as we enter today. That's what Baltimore got swept. So see if you can find some answers over at the website. NHL underway now, NBA around the corner, all kinds of futures information, survivor pool picks. My picks will be up there this weekend. Griff, what's on deck for you Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, so Tony, right now I am steamrolling in the NFL. I will say I'm not very thrilled. I had Arizona as my top play last week. Always full honesty here, but I am on a 6-2 run. Tony, it was ridiculous. I mean, Dobbs throwing that interception to close off the first half. That was whatever. It's rear view mirror type of stuff. We got to let that go. Yeah, so I am on a 6-2 explosive run, and I'm feeling very good in the NFL. So I am going to come out, and I'm going to be shelling. I have 3 plays going out, potentially 4. I have a total play eyed out right now that I am looking at. So it's going to be between 3 to 4 plays. I have not officially designed right there. On the college football side of things, I am a little bit slower right now. I dropped my top play this weekend, and I haven't been steamrolling right now. So let me gain your guys' trust. I'm going to be sending out only 2 plays this weekend, and it's going to be one of my plays will be a 6-unit play. Last weekend, I went 1-2, although I did capitalize on my 5-unit play with Colorado straight up. So this weekend, we are going to go a little bit lower volume. I'm going to have 2 plays cherry picked, looking for victories, get ourselves right back on track. NFL, we're in full gear, absolutely rolling, coming in hot. So that is going to be my weekend, Tony. 3 to 4 plays on the NFL slate, 2 plays on the college football side of things.
I'm excited about this weekend. I feel real good about it. This has been the first week that, I had games I circled right out of the gate, kind of a stress-free week. Usually I'm sweating them out. I know sometimes you'll get a text from me during the week. I go, I'm freaking out, dude. I can't, there's just so many, but I think there's some really good opportunities out there. Lower volume, surgical strikes, approach the books by stealth, shower them with multiple warheads for even know what hit them on some weak lines. And we got some great information and 10 other guys over at DocSports.com. The show's red hot. We're transparent. We got all the tools you need with a company that's been around 52 years. Take advantage of it. We appreciate you folks tuning in. Any final words, Griff?
No, I wanted to say one thing. Everybody who has been commenting, we really do appreciate it. We do read and respond to every single comment, and it really does mean a lot. We take that information and we move that forward with us as we are obviously planning our future things with Doc Sports. So all comments are always appreciated heavily, likes, everything. We appreciate that very much, and we love everybody for tuning in, and we thank you guys very much.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Just remember, wake up, kick butt, and repeat. We'll see you again next week.